We're absolutely open to voting against throne speech if it doesn't include some of the priorities that we know that Canadians need. I'm keeping an open mind, and I'm not drawing any lines in the sand, but I'm making it really clear I am prepared to vote against, our party's prepared to vote against if it doesn't reflect the important things that Canadians sent us here to do.
NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh says his party is open to voting against the throne speech, as you heard there, if it doesn't include issues he prioritizes and his party prioritizes, like pharmacare. We're back with the Power Panel. Amanda, Marty, Tim, Kathleen, and Chris. Kathleen, I'll start with you. What is the strategy behind that statement?
Well, I think it's just an honest one. I think that he was given a mandate to fight for pharmacare. That was what the party ran on. It was their number one issue 2 weeks before the election ended. It was the number one thing that he said he would fight for in a minority parliament or with whatever government was formed. I mean, listen, I worked with Jack Layton in 2011 when everyone predicted that we were going to vote for that conservative budget, and we didn't. So, people often think that they can kind of squeeze play the NDP and force them into voting for something, and I think that's just not the case. That we've shown time and time again that the party will vote on it based on its principles, and I think that the pharmacare is a policy that's held strongly by New Democrats, and I think that if it's not in there, I think that the party will vote against it. I think also Blanchette might have made a strategical error by giving him that space today, for sure. That the Liberals, by him saying he's not going to flip the table, so to speak, on this
allows them to flip it.
Allows them to flip it. Then they can have the.
Amanda, what's the chances of what the NDP envisions where pharmacare is concerned being a part of the throne speech? I ask because what was proposed in the campaign, although the end goal seemed to be similar, that the Liberals say that they are, as they have said before, they're committed to the idea of a universal single-payer system. It was not actually accounted for in the budgeting of the platform. I think they put $6 billion over 5 years versus the 15 that it was supposed to cost per year. So are we actually to expect something more robust in the throne speech?
Well, this is where I think actually Jagmeet Singh has a problem, because it's like he's walking this fine line on where will they vote? What will be enough? The Liberals certainly are not going to go as far as what the NDP wants. So does that mean at all costs they'll vote against the throne speech? And from a communication standpoint, and I'm clearly no NDP strategist, but I have to think that he would be better off taking a page from the Blanchette playbook, because it's right now, what are Canadians looking for? What do they want? What kind of tone do they want to hear from the NDP? And I don't know that it's the tone that we're going to come down hard. We're prepared to go to another election, which they're obviously not prepared to do. They don't have the money to do. He just lost seats. He's not the guy who should be hammering away on his pulpit on this issue. Not now.
Is he really doing that, or is he just saying that he's going to defend this piece of policy that he sees as vital?
But then he's given himself no wiggle room on it. Zero. He hasn't said, I hope to collaborate. He hasn't said, let's look for opportunities, let's find synergies. He's basically said it's this or nothing. And I think that's wrong. I think that's the wrong approach.
Just remember, though, a throne speech is sort of a declaration of principles. It's not going to attach money to it. It's not even clear you actually have to vote on a throne speech. We've had examples, including Stephen Harper, where it never came. A speech from the throne was never voted on. So what's he doing? I mean, I take Kathleen's point here. He really ran. The NDP ran on the idea of a universal single-pay pharmacare system. They haven't been able to smoke Justin Trudeau out yet. There has been some talk about the Hoskins report and how far they might go, maybe only extending coverage to people who have no coverage at all, like the self-employed. These are the kinds of things where there are negotiations that can happen if it's not there in the strict letter of the demand that the NDP might make.
Interestingly, though, I just want to bring Marty in for a second, because we had Matt Dubé on the show who said that though it is very central to the NDP's campaign, it didn't resonate with voters in Quebec at the door, according to him, that many are happy with the system that exists there. And so I take the point that this is a central issue to their campaign and what they want to go forward on, but that it didn't necessarily resonate with all voters right across the country.
Well, and the thing with what you heard Jagmeet Singh say today, that was him saying what he said, realizing that he has the Bloc Québécois to prop up the government. The Bloc Québécois does not give a hoot about Canadian pharmacare. A pharmacare program, because we've already had it. I mean, your next guest, Jean Charest, brought it in, so he doesn't really care about that at all. So this is a lot of. I don't want to say it. Apologies to Mr. Singh, but it's empty. It's empty boasting, and it's not. It's the opposite of speak softly and carry a big stick. He cannot go to another election for a variety of reasons. He's broke, and also, what's the last thing that Canadians want to do right now is go back out and vote again. So
Kathleen's crawling over the table right now. But I got to get Tim in first.
He can easily be committed when he's got cover, right? Just to further pile on the point. He's got the cover of Mr. Blanchette there. And also, I'm sure, he also wants to be in a position whereby he isn't seen always, and this is what Mr. Layton did before, not always supporting the Liberal government. So it allows him to carve out some identity. The Liberals don't care too much about it. They know they got the votes there. I mean, the most frightening thing that would happen, or scary thing that would happen, is if there isn't support for the throne speech, it already appears there will be support for that throne speech. There's no big news here. Canadians, to Amanda's point, aren't going to be outraged about Mr. Singh and calling him out on hypocrisy. They just want these people to go home.
I just want to gently remind the folks around this table that it was through minority parliaments with pressure from opposition parties, particularly the NDP, that has actually helped to create some of our most treasured social programs. Healthcare, the CPP, the Canadian flag, exactly. There's also the issue of even when I worked on the Hill, things like really serious reforms to EI, things like actually getting an investment in an infrastructure package when we were having the crash in 2008. These things can happen from this pressure.
I get it. But like to
we
Chris's
could have
point,
pharmacare, we could have dental care.
But to Chris's point, so what happens? The Prime Minister in his speech says, I am committed to universal pharmacare. He said that before, but what does that mean?
That doesn't mean another blue ribbon panel by Hoskins, right? That doesn't mean more.
It also doesn't mean that they're going to allot money to it.
Because really the $6 billion that you pointed out over 5 years that the Liberals booked in their platform will buy the P in pharmacare, not the other letters. We need all of the letters. We need all of the money.
To their point, though, and Chris, I'll get you in a second, but their defense is that they need to be able to meet with the provinces, to set up the system, et cetera. That's just the point that they've put forward. But also, I take your point that many other times they've promised to do the same, and it hasn't come.
And we've talked a lot about all the other leaders. We haven't talked about Justin Trudeau and what lessons he might have learned from this campaign and what need he feels to cooperate in order to get things through, what he needs to put in the window in order to get stuff going. And I think my sense is from having talked to them is they feel pretty good about the agenda that they have. They believe they can buy support from the Greens and the NDP and the Bloc on various issues, even on the Conservatives when it comes to TMX. We heard all about that in the conversation with Scott Moe. So we'll have to watch what the Prime Minister does and how generous he feels he needs to be in order to stay in power beyond December 5th.
God forbid reality creep in here, but the Parliament's only going to be here till December 13th.
Thank God you're here,
Tim. The great achievements of this Parliament will not be done between December 5th and December 13th. Newsflash.
Oh, that's it. That's all you had to add to the conversation?
That was a big setup for nothing.
Marty, what do you think?
Again, I come back to it. I don't think we'd even be having this discussion if the Bloc Québécois didn't exist, and the desire of Mr. Blanchette to prop up this government gave Mr. Singh a lot of cover.
Amanda, to Chris's point, we haven't talked much about what this means for Mr. Trudeau. What do you think?
Well, I think that you see the signals that he's trying to put forward. The fact that he's meeting with everybody, that he's meeting with the opposition leaders, but he's also looking to meet with all the premiers. And what does that say? What does it say specifically to Canadians? I'm willing to work with. I'm willing to get things done. I want to find a room around the table for everyone to sit. And he knows that on the biggest issues facing Canada, he has support from various parties where he needs it. It is the cover that he requires as he heads into December 5th.
All right. Looking forward to it all. The cabinet next week on a Wednesday. Looking forward to it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to our power panel tonight. Amanda Alvaro, Tim Powers, Kathleen Monk, Chris Hall, and Marty Patriquin. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.